Hello and welcome to On Fire here on Daily Mirror. I'm Iswaran Ratnam. The Port Commission bill has become a very controversial and sensitive issue. The matter has, in fact, been challenged in the Supreme Court as well on the basis that it is a threat to national security. The port city itself has faced a lot of criticism from the time the project kicked off. And the former government of President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had in fact suspended the project temporarily when there were some concerns that were raised on the environment. With me today is former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to discuss this issue. Mr. Wickremesinghe, welcome to Daily Mirror Online.
Nice to see you again, Iswaran.
So, Mr. Wickremesinghe, before we go into the nitty-gritties of this bill, let me start off by asking you, is the Port City project something that Sri Lanka really needs?
Well, we looked, there are two items. One is Port City. That's really off the SESMA plan, which we got in 2004, to have a new central business district for Colombo because Fort was getting filled up. Where they decided to have residential other areas. So that's a real estate development area. What the then government added was Formula One night racing track. So when we came in, we had three issues. One was the environment, which was cleared, and also that involved certain issues about fishermen. Other issue, the major issue was freehold land, because we didn't want to give freehold land to anyone. And I spoke with the Chinese government, and they agreed to a 99-year leasehold. Thirdly, we told the Chinese, look, we are not here to have racing tracks inside the city, and we took it off. So that's the first part. Now, the other was a decision that if you look at our transformation of economy into a regional center, into a regional hub, where we are going to develop our ports, airports, our whole connectivity program. Then, together with that, why don't we get some more financial services and offshore services? On the other hand, we was looking at a digitalized economy and a green economy. So then this concept of one center, which can be developed for all these services, came along. But it's not something that can be done in 1 year. It takes anything like 10, 15 years. And firstly, your economy had to be stable. We had just got that in 2017. So we had to carry that on about 10 years' time. In the meantime, we could have passed the laws, got ready, and got the other offshore services developed. Secondly, we were on the money laundering, the grey list, and we had to get off that. So we started looking at this to run parallel to the our development in transport logistics as a part of the hub of the Indian Ocean. That's what we were working for. And it's a long-term project. Don't think it's some people are here say this is going to be a Singapore, tomorrow we will solve it. Then it is not any type of a financial services city. As one of the lawyers said yesterday or day before, it is something more like a fantasy island. You cannot have a stable one within such a short time.
But when this project came up initially, there were concerns raised by our neighbors, India. I believe even America also raised some concerns that this might be misused by the Chinese. Is that something that you all had addressed or discussed at your time?
No, it was really a question of real estate. The issue raised by some security agencies was whether those buildings would dominate the port. That was the only one, and we mentioned it to China Harbour also. I thought we could come up with some solution to it. At that time, the concern was whether it will in any way monitor what's happening in the port. We also didn't want the port monitored. That was the issue that came up. We discussed the financial city separately with some of them.
With some of the other countries.
Yes.
But with the concerns still remaining, I mean, on environment and on security and all that, wasn't there an alternative that Sri Lanka could have looked at as opposed to going for a project like this with the Chinese when?
It was already filled by the time we came. You couldn't leave it halfway.
No, but in your opinion, do you think that we could have gone for something else?
No, we need to have that Colombo Central Business District that was really done by a Singaporean firm. Question whether we're going to fill it up, government, and the government take it over. But they gave it to the investment. There were others also interested. I think there was a Netherlands firm, all who were coming with government funding. In any case, they decided on China Harbour, gave it to China Harbour, and China Harbour had filled more than half of it. So we couldn't stop it there. The best was to fill the rest of it. And the central business district was needed. So this issue of building coming up would have come up whether it was built by Chinese or
somebody else.
Dutch or anyone else.
But your intention when you were in office was to, like you said, to make this a financial hub and for it to compete with countries like, I believe, Singapore and Dubai. No.
Not like that. I mean, we located it because there was no suitable land outside anywhere else. We looked at the whole area. What can you do? You had in Asia, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai was coming up, Singapore, Dubai, Mauritius. So people are going around there. What were we going to do? So we thought if we are going to be a hub for the Indian subcontinent, transshipment went to India, then we'll look at services that we can give South Asia. In the meantime, as you stabilize, the banking will also come in. So we're looking at things like insurance, which is completely untapped. Trust and that type of laws, legal services, arbitration, which should have really given us a better reputation to go in for banking. Then when you go for banking, as I mentioned, since there's a big crackdown now on tax havens and sink OFCs, we had to ensure that we didn't go along with that. And I got Mr. Mangala Samarivida at that time to speak to Mr. Doris Johnson, the Foreign Secretary, for getting help for us to set it up, and they were very positive on it. To speak to the European Union because their directives for compliance had to be got along, talk to the IMF. We were going to talk, we talked with China, with the Reserve Bank could have their regional office here, since RMB was now an international currency. And finally with the Reserve Bank of India, talk to the IMF and to the Pakistan, Bangladeshi, Maldives bank. So we were looking at a small area, but we thought as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of their GDP went up by 2040, there would have been more money for us to tap. That was something that you could do immediately. And if we had got a service reputation, they would have used it to do business here. We didn't want it to be just a tax haven for people to come. And we are going to work along those lines. So it's not a short-term one, taken 10-15 years.
But when consecutive governments tend to change policies, do you think investors will also lose hope?
No, investors will lose hope because we were going to have it put out for discussion that have general acceptance. If you have this controversy, no one will come in. They think all this will get changed next time.
Yeah.
And we have to look at the whole issue of taking away the powers of parliament and cabinet and the judiciary.
Yeah, so let's go into that bill. What is your main concern about the bill?
It's the power of the parliament. We had it. This was going to be a framework law. If you wanted any other offshore laws, parliament are going to pass it. The second is public finance. Then it has been judged by the Supreme Court. Other issue is public finance. Public finance is a part of Parliament's powers. And Richard Musgrave's theory of public finance, after that came out in the early 50s, the definition of public finance includes economic stabilization. So the Parliament is responsible for economic stabilization. But if you are going to balkanize the finance ministry and the central bank, then what control will the parliament have over this? Because this body doesn't answer to anyone. Minister of Finance and the central bank hasn't the powers. So you basically balkanized your controlling authorities. then you lose control. And this commission can go and incur debts which the rest of the country will have to
Will have to
pay.
pay.
Secondly, is in that situation, how can the government and the parliament sort of react to a Minsky moment? You know, Herman Minsky said, as stability itself creates its instability, like 2009. Now, with this, you can't react to a 2009 for the simple reason that part of it is under another authority which have done what they wanted, and maybe the persons responsible for it. So just imagine you lose control of economy, and no one will come into a country which can't control its own economy.
But aren't they trying to ease the system where, like, if it goes to parliament, then it takes time? I remember one of the ministers was saying the other day that, with even our judiciary, when the system gets delayed, aren't they trying to ease the whole
Look, as
process?
far as the law is concerned, what is it? Once you gazette it, to keep it on the gazette for 1 week, then you present it to parliament, then you get another week or so to file your any petition, 3 weeks for it to be heard. So what's that? That's just about 5 weeks. Then parliament can pass it anytime. So 6 weeks is all you require. What are you getting frightened? Any bill requires 6 weeks. So if you are ready with it, certainly come with 6 weeks. The whoever said this doesn't know what the hell is happening there.
Yeah.
6 weeks is all you need to pass a law. So you can't say there's delay on it. Judges will look at it. So you're saying you don't trust the judges, you want the judges to lift their hands for this, and that therefore you're bringing this bill to bypass the judges.
And there is also a concern, if I'm not mistaken, that this would also lead to a situation where foreigners can also come and be part of this commission. Is that?
Well, generally we have to have, we had a lot of ex officio members, others we presume are going to be Sri Lankans. Now, why should a foreigner come into this? What is he bringing in? Let's say we have Sri Lankans who left the country and come in. But other than that, what is it? That whole thing goes to with
if he brings in a lot of knowledge, more.
So knowledge, you can have advisors. We had a whole lot of advisors. Advisors are there. It should be that these people have to take decisions. So they are the responsible persons. That the government is answerable. So they have to make clear why they want foreigners, in the sense people even who are not Sri Lankans. That is there, and that links up to why they are having a consolidated fund with a contribution from outside. When we met with China Harbour, they were going to help us. So we said, yes, we put the money into the general treasury, and then treasury can give it to the fund. So we can't understand that area. But this is basically what you're having. You're having an agency which is outside the legislature, outside the judiciary, outside the cabinet. So how do you function? Now, for instance, this is the only country in the world where the authority for offshore matters as well as gambling are in the same authority. Now, in all other countries, whether it's Hong Kong, whether it's Shanghai, Tokyo, Singapore, it's all done by the central bank. There is no separate authority. England had a financial services authority. They knocked it off after 2009. But Mauritius has stayed with the with the Financial Services Commission. That's the known one. Dubai had this International Financial Center because they had no commercial law earlier, so they had to rebuild the whole thing. But otherwise, it's the central bank that controls it. Now, why do you want this agency? And then why are you having gambling? Hong Kong doesn't have gambling. Shanghai doesn't have gambling. Tokyo has 3 casinos for the whole country. Singapore recently started 2 casinos, which are done by tourism, not by the monetary authority. And the former Prime Minister made a statement against his son's government saying that we should not allow it. But that's done by a gambling authority or a casino authority. Why are you doing it? Then the suspicion you have is that you are basically using all this gambling On one hand, you will have online gambling, which means in every part of Sri Lanka. Other is you have money laundering. That is becoming a money laundering. Then immediately we get hit. We were already on the grey list.
Yeah.
The last government, when 2010 government was there, now we get hit with the whole issue of money laundering. Then the whole economy is at risk. So that is why we are asking, why don't you give the central bank and others, which your people you have appointed there, and let them run it? What is all this? You are giving a handful of people. No, you are becoming like the East India Company. I don't know whether you have read the powers of the East India Company.
Not really.
No, they were granted a monopoly to the Governor and Company of Merchants trading into East India. So then they had India Act 1773, Section 36 says, from time to time the East India Company had the power from time to make and issue such rules, ordinances and regulations. We have rules and regulations here for good order and civil government of the said United Companies settlement at Fort William aforesaid. That's 2 square miles, Fort William. And this is the power now, and they're having the same power here. That's why I say we need a financial center. We have to build it over a period of time. And we should have the legislation being made by Parliament. No one is going to block it. If it's good piece of legislation, then we should have the judges to review it before it's enacted. And the cabinet finally must be responsible. But this is not the case here. So this is the big issue. One is the constitutional issue. Now you can bring all the contraband into this place. And it's a gated community. We never had a gated community. So make it like everywhere else. Hong Kong is not gated. Singapore is not gated. Dubai is not gated. Why is this gated?
How will this affect investments from other countries? Do you think this will also discourage them?
If you do not conform to the standards that are set down, we get isolated as a tax haven which is non-compliant with the rules and also for money laundering.
Some are saying that this might lead to the port city become a Chinese colony. Do you think that's an exaggeration?
I don't know how it can be I have heard this is a Chinese colony, but what it can be is an area which will be a separate, which will have more power than the area that Prabhakaran ran during the war. And I'm surprised the people who said one law for one country is having 2 laws for the same country.
And national security is something that this government has been focusing a lot on. Would this bill impact?
You can do anything you want there, no? As long as the commission allows. You can do anything you want there. So this will get criticized by a lot of governments because there's a way out. And that's all we are telling them. We all like to see financial centers coming. It's going to take 10-15 years. Get the economy into order, passing legislation. We can all get together, talk about it. I've asked for that. I told the government, give 2 months and let's talk it over.
How will this affect Sri Lanka's overall relations with its neighbors and other countries? I mean, geopolitics-wise, how do you think this would play out?
Geopolitics might be adverse.
It would impact our relations with India, you think?
Maybe. So what we have to, we can do it the correct way. Or what you say in that song, come the proper way. And get everyone on this. Whole idea is to get everyone, China, India, Japan, UK, everyone together and go ahead. But we are just busting it up. Why? That's the reason. Why are they in such a hurry to establish this this area outside the general law of the country? I think some of the ministers will be misled with these arguments about laws. Laws are there if you have the majority. Within 8 weeks you can get a law passed, and they have majority in parliament.
Let's talk about overall our relationship with China, Mr. Wickramasinghe. I mean, I know when you were in office, you all looked at maintaining a balanced relationship with all countries. It looks like that is now shifting. We are becoming pro-China again, whether that's good or bad. How do you see that?
Well, what I see now is that we are fighting with certain countries like Japan and India. Then you're fighting with the West. So that's bad. You need all of them. It doesn't. It is that we are just picking up fights with everyone. Why are we doing it? Other day we wanted
Are we doing it because China is the first to always come and help us while the others are
No,
not?
China has helped us. But then China didn't tell us to make a statement in Geneva recognizing North Korea. So there is a problem. Problem is that you can't be angry with India. You can't be angry with Japan. China, India, Japan are the three key players. Then ASEAN is needed. You have Bangladesh and Pakistan. Pakistan relations are good. You need the EU. You need UK. It's the fifth largest economy. They are looking at where to come and park themselves. So if it helps us, certainly. And you need the US. So this has become, I can't understand how this foreign policy is being done. And these are agreements. East Terminal, they agreed. Just after the election, they'll carry on with it.
I mean, they were saying that the East Terminal project would pose a threat to Sri Lanka's security,
But
and yet they
is it?
go ahead with something like the Port Commission bill. Do
And
you see a
what
duplicity
threat
there?
for this thing? Japan gave us money. Japan gave us money to do Jaya Terminal. What is Japanese money here going to be a thing? So when you make this type of allegations, you just get on there, make allegations, you make enemies.
China's involvement again when it comes to Sri Lanka's economy is something that a lot of people talk about. China is giving us a lot of financial assistance, but then there are concerns whether these agreements are transparent, whether the funding is actually being used for the purposes it's given for. I mean, how do you see, our economic relations with China?
I think the funding is generally used for what it is given. Transparency, the government has a duty to table it in parliament. If asked by anyone, we were ready to do that. There no need to say you can't do it. No, it's a question of where are we going? What is the economic policy? What is the foreign policy? We are sort of left with China because we've gone and fought with everyone else. You must have everyone else. Your biggest market is going to be India. Next to India is Bangladesh, that whole area. So what are you going to do? If you open out your market, come to an agreement with them, then there's a space for everyone. We don't, we back out. And even Chinese or anyone would like to see a Sri Lanka that is having good relations and getting market access. So it is a question of what do we do with China. China, we are on to Belt and Road, and now we must see, of course, while they are helping us, the balance, unfortunately, the balance of trade in Asia is in favor of China, India, and Japan. It's not in our favor. The balance of trade is in our favor in Europe and US. So we can't blow them up.
Yeah.
But then we must reduce that gap with China, India, and Japan. That's what we have to do.
The last time I met you, Mr. Wickramasinghe, in March last year, we discussed about the COVID situation, and you were saying that there needs to be a lot of testing. We spoke about the economy. 1 year on, how do you see the situation in the country?
Economy is bad, whatever they say. We are not ready for COVID. That's also affected us. It's going to be bad next year too. I mean, basically, you have to realize that in our economy, you can't depend anymore on overseas employment. Apparel, yes, it's a bit more, but you can't go beyond the point of saying what we were earning in 2018, 2017. That's what we will be at. Tourism is out for another few years. Tea is the only one that's holding. So in any case, you need a new economy. You have to remember, you just can't hang on like this. Taking loans, no one is giving us loans. So we are really going down the hill. By next year, we'll see the consequences. Then you are looking at having gambling and money laundering and contrabands to make it up. Otherwise, you can't have it in 6 months or 1 year.
So finally, let's talk about the UNP. What are your plans? What are you going to do to ensure that the government is on track?
We as UNP will carry on our campaigns. We are redoing the party completely anew, looking at the present situation, using the new tools available. But we have to only make the people aware of what's happening.
And there are a lot of calls for you to bring your knowledge into Parliament. Are you going to accept that?
Well, people have asked me. I just left it at that.
Okay, Mr. Wickramasinghe, thank you for joining us on this program. And that's all the time we have for you this week.